background, codependency, in my opinion, right? So this is just the way I look at codependency. I think we really have to broaden the umbrella. We really have to take a giant step back and understand just how pervasive codependency is. It affects everything. It affects the way we think. It affects the way we perceive. It affects the way we see ourselves. It affects the way we see other people. It affects our job performance, our relationships, our well-being, our health, you name it. Because if you're codependent, that implies that you don't feel like you're good enough. And when you don't feel like you're good enough, you can't stay in the flow of abundance. And if you can't stay in the flow of abundance, then you're going to have a screwed up chakra system. Like energetically, you're going to have blocks. You're going to have stomach issues. You're going to have skin issues. You're going to have headaches. You're going to experience heartburn and acid reflux. And you're going to feel very, very heavy. And you're going to experience blockages in your body of some type. So if you're codependent, then you've come from a home that has raised you to believe that you're not good enough. And you could have had very well-meaning parents who were depressed, or very well-meaning parents who were adult children of alcoholics, or very well-meaning parents who didn't know that they were supposed to care about your feelings, that they may not have known. Like my mom, I'm so sorry, but every time I do a video, I get so itchy. It's so strange. But anyway, I honestly believe at this stage of my life, I'm 51, and when I look at my mom today, who's in her 70s, I really don't think that my mother had any clue, seriously, that she was supposed to care about the way that I felt. And as a matter of fact, when I was in my late 30s, early 40s, I was having an argument with my middle child at the time, who was about 16 and very hormonal. And her dad got in her head, cluck, 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 cluck. And she came at me with some serious accusations that were false. And we got into it. And I remember crying. It was such a aggressive exchange, and it hurt me so much, the things that were coming out of her mouth. And I just shut the door. I locked my bedroom door, and I just started folding my laundry. And I was saying to myself over and over, no, I know who I am. 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 And my mother called, which is unusual. And she said, hey, how you doing? I said, I'm okay. How are you? And of course I had to stuff it, because I really can't talk to my mom about anything too deep. I've learned through trial and error that when I do open myself up, usually there's a sarcastic comment that comes along, and I get completely invalidated and I feel more pain. So everything's very superficial. So I told her that I was okay, but I really wasn't. So I lied to her, absolutely, to save myself. And, she said, well, you don't sound okay. I said, well, honestly, me and my daughter are having a tough time right now. And I said, it sucks. I said, but we'll get over it. And she says, well, don't make the same mistake I did. And I was shocked, and I didn't even know how to answer. I don't think I answered, because I was just dumbfounded, because my mother was like, whoop, she was going a little bit deeper, like into the emotions, into the pit of the belly, the pit of the beast. And I was shocked, because my mom just doesn't do that. And then she said, I never cared about your feelings. And I was dumbfounded that she said that. Like, she admitted that she never cared about my feelings. When I look back on that, I really don't think that my mother understood that she was supposed to care about our feelings. So bizarre, but that really is what I think. So when we're talking about codependency, and we're talking about love, and we're talking about relationships and recovery, we have to understand that codependency runs very, very deep, and it goes back to our childhood experiences, because from the ages of 0 to 12, we were in a learning phase, right? We were in a hypnotic brainwave state. So we don't think about it, and not many even therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists really address our belief systems and how they got created, nor are we ever instructed to confront those beliefs and ask and question those beliefs and say, wait a minute, those beliefs are there. My being, my perceptual self, the thing that I attach to as me, is reading this data and believes that it's true. So Einstein says you can't heal a problem with the same level of intelligence that created it. So that means that we've got to wake up and become aware of the mindset and the state of awareness, which was unconsciousness, that created the faulty beliefs in the first place. And the more aware we become about these faulty beliefs, which is what my program's all about, my books are all about, and the YouTube videos are all about, it's like, wake up, dear one, wake up, wake up. It's not you, it's your programming. So the more we wake up to the idea that codependency is not us, but it's the way that we've been trained to think and process information, the easier it is to heal. But that doesn't mean it's easy to heal. It just becomes easier. So when we're trying to heal from a codependent marriage, or let's say a codependent divorce, you really have to accept that it wasn't just the marriage and it's not about the other person. You are or were codependent. And you are the radio tower that is transmitting that signal of codependency. And you will absolutely attract, trust me, because I'm the queen of attracting narcissists and sociopaths. Honestly. Well, not anymore, but I was. But when you are codependent, you are sending out a signal, very much like a radio tower. Bing, 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 bing. And you can get divorced 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And until you wake up and really, really address the belief systems that are at the helm of codependency, you will not be able to attract anyone else but another codependent or a narcissist or a sociopath or someone on that spectrum. He certainly or she certainly will not be healthy. That's for shit sure. So just saying it like it is, dear ones, because you need to hear this stuff so you can awaken and stop wasting your precious lifetime, trying to, do something else. If you don't change, nothing changes. So we must understand that we can get divorced 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's not going to change who we attract until we change our attracting point. My book, Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now, will help you figure out what is my attracting point, what am I attracting into my life, and how to change it. So when you're trying to heal from a codependent marriage, you have to take accountability for the fact that you are codependent. Not your fault, because this happened when you were below the veil of consciousness, and you were programmed to be codependent. And so you have to address the programs that are running the subconscious mind that you're living off of, that are actually causing you to attract other people. So if you've got a bunch of I'm not enough stuff going on, have to confront it. If you've got a lot of people pleasing, got to confront it. You've got to learn the tools you need to learn so that you can stop being a people pleaser. Because when you're a people pleaser, you attract people that like you to please them. And they are not in the habit of giving a rat's ass about pleasing you. That's just the way it is. So whatever it is that your belief system is that's corrupt, that has to be fixed before you start dating again. So the rule of thumb, from what I've learned, is we should stay out of a relationship. I think we're supposed to stay out of a relationship 3 months for every year we're in a relationship. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was Melody Beatty that again, don't quote me, but I think it was Melody Beatty that suggested something like that. And you guys feel free to correct me in the YouTube comments below. I read a lot of books and I try to take in a lot of information, so I could have screwed that up, so I apologize. But needless to say, you have to spend a significant amount of time alone. And the reason that's important is because you have to connect to your own signal. You have to learn to connect to what you think and what you feel without interfacing with another human being. And you have to learn what it's like to please your own self and learn how to stay home on a Friday night by yourself and a Saturday night by yourself and not give a damn what your friends are saying or what your neighbors are saying. That's an exercise, learning to stay home. And also you have to learn how to be happy by yourself. You have to create that ground zero, that I like to think of it as the Buddha who sits on the pillow inside your own chest. You've got to learn to be that Buddha and be sacred to that Buddha and honor that Buddha in spite of what's going on around you. Because without that safe space, without that ground zero, you don't know when you're out of alignment. When I finally healed the last time after an awful, I would say, relationship with a psychopath, like scary, like I'm not kidding, like I was terrified. He could have killed me, I think, for sure, and buried my body in the woods somewhere. I'm not joking. But when I first met him, he was so cavalier, and but in a good way and charming in a great way, and, made me feel seen. And I thought that I was with someone who was so intelligent and worldly and caring and charismatic and understanding and empathetic. And boy, was I wrong. It was all a charade. And thank God the relationship didn't last long. But as it began to unravel and I started to look back, I began to shake in my own soul, like, oh my God, what could have happened? And it was at that moment that I realized it's not them, it's me. Like, there's something wrong with me. I'm sending off a particular signal as a female. And I was terrified because the men that I was dating were just like getting worse. So I went on a 2-year hiatus, like, that's it, I'm done. And I really took total accountability for my thought process. I mean, I investigated every thought that went through my brain, and I had my journals out. I have tons of marble notebooks filled with journals. This became my work. I wanted to know every dysfunctional thought so that I could fix and that I could change it and correct it. And for those of you who have taken part in my 12-week breakthrough coaching program, you know that a big part of the program is accountability. And I teach you how to take gentle accountability for the thoughts that are going through your head without judging them. Because when you judge yourself, you throw yourself into the rabbit hole. And that's a negative vibration. And we're trying to move up the ladder. So, judging yourself and judging the programs just really doesn't work. So for those of you who are healing from a codependent relationship and or marriage, very, very important that you take the time that you need to focus on yourself, but not in a selfish way. The focus must be on what's wrong, what is the data, and what is the program. And we don't venture out into relationship land until we have a pretty secure idea of who we are, that we are enough, and we're in touch with this inner child that we've learned to protect with internal and external boundaries. So we understand what it feels like to be in alignment. So when someone else says something or we notice something and we're pulled out of alignment, we know it. I was so out of alignment many years ago. I didn't know that I was out of alignment because it was my norm. And I know so many of you who comment on this channel and who take my program and read my books, you know what I'm talking about. Chaos is our norm. So when we bump into people who are mean to us, that's just our norm. And that's why that period of being alone is so important, because in that period of being alone, without the distractions of Facebook and social media, I mean really detaching from getting our egos satisfied from outside of ourselves and learning to soothe ourselves from the inside. So, so important. That's when you learn to believe that you're enough. We don't venture out into relationship land until we've identified this inner child and we've learned to validate her or him, and we learned how to protect him or her, and we understand what the vibration of peace and love and light feels like within our own body, and we know how to self-soothe. And once you spend enough time there, you learn to get very protective of the sacred space. And now when you start venturing out into relationship land, if somebody says something that you don't like, or if a red flag appears, you are aware of it, and then you can honor it. And then you can feel safe because you know where your safety is, where your center is, and you also know that you're not going to allow other people to violate those boundaries, and you know what you need to do to honor those boundaries and to protect this sacred inner child first. So I hope this video has helped you. Thank you so much to all of you, to Maria, to SpongeBob, you're so cute, to Kenneth, to Richie, to Mark, to Michael, to Mary, to Kate, to all of you, Felicia, I just want to run through, make sure I hit a couple of the names, to Gary, Namaste, to Billy. That's my other video. Sorry, guys. But I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you watching this channel, because what it means is that you are tapping into the light that's within you, which means that this planet is a little bit brighter today because you tapped into something within yourself that made you feel like you really are okay, and like you really have the ability to heal once and for all. And when we tap into the divine self, we tap into the light that's inside of us, and the planet benefits. So from the bottom of my heart, your breakthrough life coach, I say namaste and thank you for being you. So I'm going to bow to the love and the light in you. Namaste. Bye, everybody. We will be discussing my ideas about how it is that you and I can gain control over our thought processes and thus our lives. The name of this seminar is called It's Not You, It's Your Programming. And I believe in that firmly. And that is my message. That is the crux of my message. And it is so important that those of us who have been in pain, and those of us who are not in pain or don't think that we're in pain, begin to identify the difference between who we are, the true nature of ourselves, and what our childhood programming has been. I know in my case, part of what helped me heal was being able to identify